This week on Wildcat News, we find out how close Johnston County schools are to getting a later start time.
Seniors let out their poetic side.
And the dangers of taking a selfie are revealed.
All these stories and more coming up because Wildcat News starts now.
Good morning, West Johnston. I'm Eric Bean.
And I'm Ariel Andrews. Durham County School Board members have unanimously decided to push back start times for high schools, and that raises the question, why do we have to start so early, and what are the benefits to a later start?
Pediatric nurse practitioner Janice Soward provides the problems with starting school early and the benefits of pushing the start time back.
The health benefits of starting school at 10 a.m. versus 7 a.m. are that when teenagers start to mature, their biological clocks are changing, so they're more geared to stay up later and sleep later. And we know that teenagers, and then they're in high school and they've got jobs and they've got sports and they've got homework and family. So generally teenagers should have about 9 hours of sleep. On average, what I see when I'm asking my patients is that they're sleeping about 6 hours. So what you see is they start to get deficits. You start to see problems with learning, you're having drowsiness, which can cause drowsy driving. They're falling asleep in school because they're tired. So that's impeding on like cognitive development for them and their sports performances, their performances in their job. So just globally, you see deficits because they're not getting enough sleep.
Gherkin and Eason give their opinion on the potential flaws of starting school at 10 a.m.
So I would get more sleep if it started at 10, but during like afternoon activities, they would be pushed back. So you'd be getting home later, and that would cause you to stay up later.
I do think maybe starting a little later might help sometimes. Maybe kids are more alert rather than at 7 o'clock in the morning. They might be more alert at 8 or something like that. But later than that, I think it's questionable. So I don't think I'd be less tired from my day's activities. I think that eventually your body would acclimate and then you would still be as tired as normal because you'd be doing the same things, just in a different time frame. And I think drawbacks from that is you'd be going later on in the afternoon so you could get the full 8 hours or whatever the required time is. And then if you add sports onto that and then homework time, I feel like you're gonna take away that time and it won't benefit the students as much as them being more alert in the morning.
According to JCS board member Peggy Smith, there have been talk of later start times among board members. However, sports and shared busing are major barriers to changing start times.
Well, it's fall again, and that means seniors are starting or even finishing their college applications. Nik Reasor shares more about an important part of the application process.
The school year has started, and so has the rush to finish college applications. Teacher recommendations, a vital part of this process, is often forgotten in this rush.
Teacher recommendations are generally required for college applications, and they are sort of a teacher perspective of you as a student in the classroom. My biggest piece of advice is to approach the person you're asking at least a week or two in advance and ask them for specifically what you need. It's always really important to stress the asking part and not say, I need this letter of recommendation, and assume that it's part of a teacher's job to spend their extra time writing a letter of recommendation for you. So always use your manners and ask politely in advance, saying thank you afterwards. It's always nice to hear from a student just saying thank you for taking your time to give a letter of recommendation. It just makes it feel like you made a difference for that student, and it's just nice to know.
However, teachers don't recommend everybody, and some students don't know who to ask. History teacher Scotty Williams tells us what teachers look for in a student.
Honestly, I look for kids who I would be comfortable trusting with parts of my own life. Like if I am looking to recommend a young man, I'm going to look for somebody who I would trust to be friends with my daughter. Ask for recommendations from people who have known you for a long amount of time. When I write a recommendation, if I've only known a kid for a year, 2 years, it really doesn't help their chances. They want somebody who's got a larger body of work with the student. Usually what I tell kids up front is I'll be honest, so take that for what it will.
I'm Nik Reasor, Wildcat News.
Thanks, Nik. Ariel, what do you think is the hardest part about English classes?
Definitely the poetry units.
Oh, I feel you there. I can't rhyme to save my life. Yet several seniors are learning to master the art of poetry. Katherine Serrell tells us more.
Last week, all English 4 classes participated in the Poetry Out Loud competition. Jorge Herita tells a little about what the project entailed.
So the project we had in English 4, we had to remember a poem from a long list of poems from the Poetry Out Loud competition, and we had to present it in front of 2 classes of English and other kids. The poem I did was Two Guitars by Victor Hernandez Cruz. I was very nervous, not on stage. I was actually more nervous in my chair. But once I got up on the stage, all of that just went away. I'm just like, all right, time to present my poem.
Being on stage was kind of nerve-wracking because everyone was looking at you, but once you get on the stage, for me, I didn't feel as nervous as I thought it was going to feel.
Students explain how the competition challenged them and how it helped them learn.
And I liked how we got to analyze the poem before we actually recited it because it helped me get a better understanding of what the poem was actually about.
It really lets people express and interpret what their poem is about, so really like put themselves into the poem. Having this experience to actually perform a poem they've worked so hard to remember and recite it to everybody is a pretty great experience.
There will be a school-wide Poetry Out Loud competition where the winners will get to progress to the next stage. See an English teacher for details. I'm Katherine Serrell, Wildcat News.
Thanks, Katherine.
Now over to Jamie Snover with the rundown.
I'm Jamie Snover, and welcome to the Rundown. Here's the last week's scores. Wednesday, tennis lost 7-2 against Clayton. Thursday, varsity volleyball lost 3-0, and JV won 2-0 against East Wake. Varsity football won 29-26 against East Wake. Here's a look at the game of the week.
The varsity football team faced off against East Wake, ending with a 29-26 win. With 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter, Tony Mack runs 11 yards to score a touchdown. With 7 minutes and 44 seconds left in the second quarter, Tony Mack runs for 8 yards to score a touchdown. Tony Mack runs for 35 yards on a kickoff return at the beginning of the third quarter. Jake Strickland makes a 7-yard reception to score with 9 minutes and 45 seconds left in the half. Andre Wilson runs 10 yards to score in the third quarter. Christian Torres kicks the game-winning field goal. Anastasia Lonesky tells us about how athletes and coaches feel about drug testing.
Drug testing athletes is a controversial topic among the athletic community. Some say it's appropriate as well as necessary, while others disagree.
I think drug testing at school in athletics, coming from a healthcare perspective, is fine because the National Athletic Training Association, we actually help drug test. We do it for healthcare reasons because they have many negative side effects for you in athletics and later on in life.
I don't think that's appropriate because it's none of the school's business when you're getting drug tested. I mean, if you want to be drug tested, have your parents go out and get a drug test, and you can do it, and then your parents can send the information back to the school.
Some athletes might be worried that the results of the test won't be confidential and if it's an appropriate procedure.
I think it is an invasion of privacy. I don't think it's appropriate for the school to be able to do it in athletics.
I think that it's appropriate. I mean, if you go to the college level, we're going to drug test you. So if you plan on playing sports in college, then you need to go ahead and get used to it. It's what you sign up for. It's what you agreed to do. So from an athletic training standpoint, we're here for your protection, but we also keep things confidential.
I'm Anastasia Lonesky, Wildcat News.
Thanks, Anna. Cross country competes in a conference meet, and tennis plays away on Wednesday. Soccer is home on Wednesday and away next Monday. JV football plays home on Thursday, and varsity football is away on Friday. Volleyball is home next Tuesday. Come out and support all your fall athletes. I'm Jamie Snover, and that's your week's rundown.
Thanks, Jamie.
There are some things everyone knows are bad for your health.
But did you know selfies are a bigger danger than shark attacks? Nik Reasor reports.
Selfies, the bread and butter of a generation. However, some teens take this to the extreme, which can result in severe injury or even death. Overall, more people have died of selfies than shark this year. Hannah Flynn tells us more.
A dangerous selfie is risking your life for a picture. I think it's crazy that selfies have killed more people than sharks. There's no reason that that should even be a thing. My thoughts on dangerous selfies are that you shouldn't put yourself in harm or others, and you should make sure that whatever you're doing isn't like you're not going to risk your life. No picture is worth your life.
Josh Harker, a fellow selfie taker, offers his take on these dangerous selfies.
I think a dangerous selfie would be like Hannah's, because her brother's upside down. My selfies are pretty average and tame. I don't take selfies with bears and on top of roofs because I don't want to die. I think people take those dangerous selfies because they want to grab life by the horns. What I think about people taking these selfies is that, I mean, they do look pretty cool, but it could be dangerous.
I'm Nik Reasor, Wildcat News.
Thanks, Nick.
Well, that's all for us this week. If you have any comments, questions, or story leads, email us at wjstudentmedia@gmail.com or send us a tweet at wjstudentmedia.
And if you want to watch Wildcat News at home, on the go, or catch up on past episodes, go to wjstudentmedia.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Ariel Andrews.
And I'm Eric Bean. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of the week.